I don't know how he does it. Welcome to the Untitled Mike Ashmore podcast. My name is Mike Ashmore, and our next guest has that kind of energy all the time. I'm 37 and out of shape and old. I don't know how he does it, but he's Scott Kelly. He's the man, and you guys wanted this chat, and we delivered. Here it is, the Untitled Mike Ashmore podcast with the one, the only Scott Kelly. All right, guys, welcome back to the Untitled Mike Ashmore podcast. This might be the most requested guest we've had in the long, illustrious history of the UMAP. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Scott Kelly. Scott, how you doing, my friend?
What's going on, dude? How we doing today?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I can see you're all fired up for this.
Oh, man, if it ends in Y, we got to be fired up. So, and plus, I get to talk to you. Haven't spoken to you in a while, and listening to the podcast, and very grateful for this opportunity.
Yeah, man, it's been fun to be doing this. It's fun to have you on. Not so fun though is we should be a couple days into spring training right now, and obviously that is not the case. I guess especially for someone like yourself, people who don't know Scott, this guy lives and breathes baseball, wants to be at the field 24/7. To not be able to have that opportunity, given what's going on, I guess how tough has that been to deal with right now?
Obviously, it's been difficult to not be at the field, and subconsciously, your thoughts are telling you, that you're at the field right now, and you're doing whatever you can as far as getting work in to stay ready, so you don't have to get ready. However, it's a very tough time period right now where there's a bigger picture involved, and the health and safety of everybody is number one right now. So. I think as we all are doing is suppressing our emotions and our feelings, and just using that as energy in order to get ready for the season, and focusing on the big picture right now is most important.
Yeah. Have you thought about what things might kind of look like when/if we do get back this season, talk of games with no fans and that kind of stuff? I mean, would that be kind of weird?
No, it's the game. I think, I feel bad for the fans in that situation. I think as a player, we all have goals and dreams and aspirations, and that's just an opportunity. It's not really an obstacle. I think the difference between an obstacle and an opportunity is just your attitude towards it. And, I think being able to play right now and being on a field I think that's the big achievement here. But as far as for the fans are concerned, that's where, my heart goes out to them because, especially when you're playing at Somerset, those fans care about you, and they are great. They make the atmosphere what it is. They make Somerset the jewel of the Atlantic League, as it is called, and that's what the toughest part is not giving them that opportunity and stimulation to just go out and see a ball game. And knowing Somerset, they will always find a way to make everyone's experience worthwhile, whether it would be virtually or putting the game on the big screen and having being like a drive-in movie.
You know what, man? I haven't even heard that suggested. That's a really interesting kind of concept there. That'd be.
Think about it, yeah. Right? You think about it. So the awning, I think it's the red lot, or even red and blue lot. There's two lots. The awning, so where God forbid there is rain, say you put a little protection, you get two or three, just two projections or two big screens that you can post the game live watch, and everyone's like a driving movie from the car. And now there's a foul ball that goes to the right side. You got people going out diving for it. You have to be a little careful about that. However, it does provide somewhat of a feel and atmosphere of getting out of the house and watching a game, and that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess better than nothing, which is what we currently have right now. So that would certainly be entertaining. But got to ask you about the career a little bit, man, too. I guess the start of kind of you getting yourself on the map in this neck of the woods, I guess, would be the time in high school. Usually I don't start with high school time for these kind of things, but I think it's kind of relevant for you. West Windsor, Plainsboro North. What were the
Yes.
goals of a young Scott Kelly at that time?
Fired up and fired in. As far as goals, I mean, obviously we wanted to play professional baseball. You kind of got labeled as the underdog throughout, and I kind of believe that puts you more in the advantage point than anything else because, I think we can all operate better if someone tells us that we can't do something than rather someone tell us you can do something, crazy as it is. Growing up in West Windsor in New Jersey, being about 40 minutes away from Somerset, we were athletic growing up. We played a bunch of sports, soccer, basketball, baseball, and I think that really attributed to success, being that you're able to learn the different body positions, dynamics, and all the things that are required for each sport. And, athleticism is number one for anything, and you hear a lot of professional athletes talking that how they played multiple sports, and you can even see that if you show up to the stadium at 2:00, where you see all the guys in the outfield either throwing football around, kicking the soccer ball around, frisbee.
Yep.
We always try. Baseball is such a repetitive motion of the same thing over and over again, and we always do our best to try to open our bodies up so that we keep the mobility and the flexibility all intact so we can perform.
Yes. Did you play other sports in high school besides baseball, or was it just kind of like recreationally, or was it just strictly baseball at that time?
No, we played soccer. I played soccer and then played basketball as well. We stopped playing basketball after my sophomore year to focus on baseball. And at that point, I was trying to get recruited and noticed. And I got recruited only by one. I went to one showcase. It was the Dave Gallagher showcase, and I got recruited by two schools there, and that was all the looks I had. I went to showcases and did my best, and somehow stood out that day, which is usually the theme. If you keep showing up, good things will happen, and luckily that happened. And the college in New Jersey found me, and I got to go to a fantastic school that happened to be very close to home, and that was a very grateful opportunity. I was very grateful for that opportunity.
Yeah, obviously, effort has never, ever, ever been a knock on you in anything you've ever done, I'm sure. I guess what was kind of the thing that was maybe keeping schools away? Was it the size thing? Why do you feel like you weren't getting recruited more than maybe you were?
Oh, good question. No, good question. I think you could always guess. You could always project that someone would say, I was always a butt guy. It was B-U-T, just for sake of everyone's ears.
Yes.
It's this is also my drive and my motivation that I still continue today. Is he has speed, but ...
Yeah.
You know what? He has a good release. He has good footwork, but... And then ... And I think that whatever came after that phrase was kind of how they perceived how I was. And that was always fuel. And, so I always thought the strive for, be the and guy, A-N-D. How he has great footwork and he knows how he has a good discipline at the plate.
Right.
You always try to develop all qualities and become that complete player of the game was always the goal. And it's an effort, as I always say, effort is just a word until you give it. So that's why you can if you take each day and break it down and be grateful for it, you can give all the energy you got.
TCNJ, you get there. What is the transition like to college ball early on?
Ooh, so I went from shortstop over to second base. I guess my 99-cent hose from the flea market wasn't cutting it over at short at the time, so I went over to second. No, that was we had a really good shortstop, Jason Sigarski, come in. He was a junior when I was a freshman. Really great mentor for me growing up, and he really paved the way for my career as an infielder and really got me to think the game of baseball as a middle infielder, which is very important. And the transition was obviously it's a step up. However, I did really have great mentors with my coach and the juniors and seniors, and even your teammates or class in the your teammates in the same class as you. They really helped pave the way, and I was able to. The difference was for me that I went to a Division III school, and if I got recruited by not like a mid-major D1, I looked at it as, well, what am I talking about next summer?
Yeah.
If people ask the question, hey, how's your season? It's, I pinch ran a couple times, and I got in, on these games, X, Y, and Z. I thought that nothing beats playing. And TCNJ was up front with me, just letting me know that I would be coming in and had the opportunity to earn a starting position. Not it was given an opportunity to earn it, and I tried to take advantage of that. And I started every game in my college career, which I was very grateful for.
Right, you were started pretty much ready as a freshman too. Like out of the gate, you started.
Yeah. First ball hit to me. I booted the first two balls hit to me in my college career, and so really got the lock in real quick when you had your catcher coming in saying, you better pick up this ball and better throw it to first. It's not that hard. And I was like, you know what? You're right. So I took that advice, and I still keep that advice today, because as long as the umpire puts that fist up in the air, that means the guy's out, and we all move forward.
TCNJ has not historically been known to produce a ton of pro ball guys. Chris Boglovsky might be one of the more notable ones for fans of this podcast, a former Somerset Patriot.
Yes.
Dan Ramos Domingo was there briefly. There's been some TCNJ guys. Joe D'Alessandro has been in the Atlantic League as well. Was pro ball still realistically on your mind at that time?
Well, I always have to say being realistic is the most commonly traveled road to mediocrity. So I always try to, it was more of a, when you have dreams and you want to have the goals of obviously playing, which I did, sometimes you got to just boil it up and channel it and not let anybody know about it. I always wanted to play. I didn't think I was done playing after my college career. And I had aspirations of going to open tryouts that following year. Mm-hmm. And luckily I had two at the time. I was actually going to the Camden River Sharks tryout, or Camden River Sharks spring training that Monday that spring training started. However, I went to the Somerset Open tryout on the Saturday, which happened to be the spring break of my student teaching. And I didn't have to tell my teachers, which was great. And luckily enough, I got the invite and I met you. And that conversation with you, I'll never forget it, because you actually put a lot of fire in me. Because I didn't know at the time, how the situation and the magnitude, I guess, if you will. I didn't know at the time about it. I was just like, I just want to win. I want to play. I want to be on this team, and I'm not letting this go. So your encouragement was very helpful, and luckily I got to go to that spring training during my spring break.
Yes. If the pro ball thing didn't work out, because I mean, you like you said, kind of that underdog mentality, maybe teams wouldn't have been willing to take a chance on you. If that didn't happen, and we'll certainly get to the tryout, I promise you that. But if it didn't happen, was there a backup plan? Was there a plan B for you?
No, I don't believe in plan Bs. I don't believe it's just a distraction from plan A. So at the time, I was just really focusing on plan A, and that's what I wanted to do. And I put all my eggs in that basket. And that's people operate differently, and there's always systems and ways of how to think about things and having backup plans. This was fresh in my mind. This is something I've always wanted to do, and luckily the chances happened, and it worked out.
So you go to that tryout in Somerset. I still remember that day pretty vividly. There's a lot of pro ball guys there, a lot of guys with experience at the higher levels. When you see that, when you first get there and you kind of see some of these guys who've been around, are you worried about your chances? Are you thinking maybe I aim too high? I guess what is kind of the mentality when you kind of see your surroundings for the first time?
I at the time I didn't really, obviously, being around big league players and being into that exposure very quickly. It's not like I had a rookie ball, low A, double A, where you're moving up the system with guys similar to your, in your age range. Walking in and seeing grown men. At first was, I mean, I guess I can't sit here and say I wasn't intimidated. However, I just knew I had something to prove, and that's still my mantra today: is always having something to prove. And I always believe that I can just prove it. All I got to do is just work hard. If I work hard, good things will happen. And that was kind of my direction, or my alignment for myself, was just, hey, put your head down, work hard, and do the job. And I still try to continue that today.
I know everybody asks you about this tryout. One of your old nicknames was actually your bib number at the tryout. I'm not sure if people know that, but that is true. I guess what stands out to you about that day when you think back to that?
Oof.
I mean, it was a day that changed your life, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I told Brett I would play for a sandwich. No joke. I actually said that, and I still, to this day, believe that I could still play for a sandwich if it was possible. So I remember going to that tryout, and I remember obviously, how I prepared for it. How I prepared for it was this: is that I looked at it as, okay, if there's 60 people at the tryout, say that most tryouts, as we know, take about 3 to 4 hours.
Yep.
And I looked at it as, okay, I'm going to get 8 ground balls. I'm going to get 6 ground balls, 8 swings. I'm going to run a 60-yard dash. Sum up in total, that's probably close to 60 seconds out of 3 hours.
Yep.
That I will have the spotlight on me, if you will. So I looked at it as an opportunity of, well, instead of looking at it of proving yourself over 3 hours, you just have to prove yourself for 60 seconds. So I trained that way. I ran 60-yard dashes. I perfected taking 6 ground balls. I perfected 8 swings. And going in, what kind of helped that process was Shane Spencer. I'll never forget, we were in left field, and Brett does a really good. Brett and the rest of the coaching staff do an amazing job with the tryout, because they actually are hands-on. They're actually helping. It's a different tryout from most. If you go to the tryout every year, Brett's hitting ground balls left and right to everybody.
Yep.
It's not like you're just getting them from deep short, seeing your arm strength. All right, thanks so much, and they're just checking you off. No, he really wants to see who can play, which was opened so many doors, because now it was like, oh wow, like, this is awesome. Like, we get to now just play baseball on this field, on this beautiful field right now. But going back, sorry. So Shane, I remember Shane saying, like, listen, if you're not a power guy, don't hit with power. We don't want to see, don't do anything more than what you're capable of doing. If you're a line drive guy, hit line drives. Don't do anything more. Right? You're going to overswing and you're going to overdo it, and the result's not going to be what you want. And that kind of relieved a lot of tension and pressure in my head, because now I'm like, wow, all right, I just have to be myself. And sure enough, that's kind of the attitude I went into the open tryout, and it worked out. So I think I didn't run a 60 in the straight line too. I remember running the 60, and I don't know what the time was, but I remember Shane Spencer, who at the time, of course, was Shane Spencer, who played for the Yankees, and I'm like, I'm like in awe, because I'm like, well, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And the first thing he said to me was, kid, you didn't run in a straight line. And I go, oh, really? And then that was it. And I was like, oh man, maybe this is over. But luckily, I actually had one of the better times. So
yeah,
that's what. But yeah, sorry. That was my spiel with the tryout, which was awesome though. But it would have been the same at any other tryout, because Somerset really did a great job providing that opportunity of letting yourself play.
Yeah. That spring training, I remember really vividly as well, because most spring trainings, and it's not a knock on guys, but veteran guys, more or less, are going to be in a certain kind of gear, 70, 80%, kind of, they know they're making the roster. You were never that guy, because you never could be that guy. So how much stress was that over that kind of 10-day period? I mean, you got the invite, but a roster spot wasn't guaranteed. So how much stress was there kind of on you to just basically ball out every day?
I think sometimes being young and foolish helps in these situations. Not foolish as in stupid, just foolish as in I wasn't aware of everything that was going on. I was just trying to go out there and do my best every day.
Sure.
And that kind of is how I approached each day. And I didn't know no one told me if I was doing good or if I was doing bad. I had zero idea. I didn't know what my batting average was. I didn't know what I was doing. I just worked out where I was making a push for myself. And the two people that took me in, the first two people were actually Daryl McCall and Mike DeMark. Those are the first two people that actually hung out with me after spring training. I got to hang out with them, after spring training one day. And they are asking me questions, and I was peppering the most questions to them. And they really did a great job of just kind of giving me hints at what I'm doing. But that was really the only feedback I got. Other than that, though, I was just admiring and respecting all the talent that was around, and being around people like Adam Donahue or Johnny Tucker. You can't have nothing but a good time and learn to laugh and play the game.
Yes. So you end up making that team. I guess, what is that moment like? Are you by the end of that spring training, are you expecting to make that team? Are you surprised when Brett says, "Hey, you're going to be on the opening day roster"? What is that like?
Well, yeah, I remember him calling me into the office, and it was funny. So I had class that night for student teaching, and I had to tell my professor of my situation that was going on. And but I did tell him, like, hey, I'll be back maybe on Friday, because you always want to keep an open mind. And I was just grateful that I got to play baseball for a week. So whatever the news was, I was going to take it and just say, wow, thank you so much. This is amazing. And once he told me, I was like, no way. And I was like, this is cool now. And this is something I've always wanted to do. And the experience, though, would not be what it was, and I couldn't talk about it without the guys that I was around that year. Just all of them from top to bottom. It's funny. So every year I write down all my teammates on a list, and just as a way to go back to it, because each one of them, all the teammates that I've played with over the years have always said something, or I've always admired something that they do that I'm like, wow. Whether it was as a person, as a baseball player, as a human, how they interacted, what their mentality was, I've taken all that, written it down. And I have a lot of info from the first year, because they were just incredible, and just teaching you how to play the game the right way was something I can't even put into words.
That 2014 season, I guess, what is your biggest takeaway, your biggest learning experience from that year?
Man, one, perfection, or your progress should be perfection. I remember taking ground balls with Brian Barden, and I took one ground ball, and it's your first ground ball of the day, 50%. He looked at me and goes, kid, you take ground balls 100% game night every single time. And that kind of set the tone for how I would prepare for games, because he would tell me that's why are you going to do something different outside of what you're going to do in the game?
Yeah.
He goes, a lot of people are different, but that for you, no. He's like, you got to take it 100%, be ready by the first ground ball. And that was the mantra, and that's how I still approach it today.
And you're not just saying, not to cut you off, but you're not just saying that. Like, you genuinely do that every day. You're always doing early work. You're always taking extra ground balls. That has genuinely stuck with you.
Thank you. Yes, it has, because there's no such thing as too much, as far as ground balls are concerned, because you find different things throughout each day that want you to do it. Whether mostly it's passion, mostly it's just because you love it, and just because I want to do it. And that's kind of how it is. It's as simple as that. It's just, I love taking ground balls. I love hitting. It's just loving the game of baseball and breathing the game. And when you're able to be out there, usually when you do think mentally, you think about it, but physically helps as well. And credit going to, as I said in the beginning of the year, the guys that I was with in 2014, like Corey Smith, learning how to field with one hand. And he told me, he said, you want to play third base, you got to learn how to field with one hand. And Johnny Tucker, taking time out of give it a glimpse of Johnny Tucker. He's the type of guy where if I was fielding a ground ball and he was hitting batting practice and I did something that needed an adjustment, he would stop hitting and run out and tell me something and then go back and hit.
Yep.
That's the type of guy that he was. And that's something that you can't put into words of how grateful you are that he just took you in under the wing. And someone like Adam Donahue, where you want to learn the game of baseball, you want to see how a game is changed through a catcher calling a game, and all the catchers over the years that played at Somerset, everything from Damaso Espino to obviously Yovi now. Yovi's one of the most intelligent players in this game I've ever played with, and I am so grateful to be his teammate for 5 years. And then you got so many other guys. You have Rob Krall, you have Adam Weisenberger. All these guys here, and Mike Ullman last year. I mean, so many catchers know so much about this game, and you're cheating yourself if you're not asking them questions, because they're the only position on the field that see the game differently, because they're facing the field, and that's the difference, is that they're playing and facing the field. So it's a game changer. And when you have, Nate Spears, Edward Masonette, watching Edward Masonette field a ground ball was pure poetry. And I'm sorry, the list goes on. But then also credit goes into like Aaron Eggleston, a similar guy in my situation, and at the time, and he's one that really connected with me right in spring training. And having him as a person to lean on, ask questions for, and him being a role model, a leader, him with the right attitude, I was so grateful for Eggy, because he was always right there in my ear, letting me know, hey, try this, hey, try that, hey, make sure this, hey, make sure that. Simple as if you weren't lined up on a single going to second base, if you were lined up as an infielder and he threw the ball into second base and the guy hit a single, he would overthrow you, and that was his way of letting you know you got to line up.
Yeah.
So that little things like that I hope I don't rock people to sleep here right now, but it's just little things like that. But that's just a lot of appreciation for the guys that are at Somerset, and that list continues.
I love the detail, man. You're not rocking anybody to sleep. Trust me, everybody in Somerset hangs on every word you say. You know that by now. So this is all good stuff, man. So that 2014 season, like I was there. I was around you a lot. I know you were a big asset to that team. But statistically, I don't really think it showed, I guess, kind of how well you kind of adjusted that first year. Were you, when you did sit back and kind of look at the numbers in that 14 season, were you worried that you might not get an opportunity to come back?
Yeah, I think that first year, to be honest, there's two types of seasons that you can have. You can play to survive or you play to thrive. And usually that comes from preparation. Now that I didn't have that much preparation going into the season, so I was honestly going out there surviving every day. Just trying to say, hey, what can I do? Honestly, as simple, what can I do to help the team win? And that's one of the best focuses you can have in this game, because when you're doing it for somebody else and on your team, it's a lot more powerful than me. It's, hey, I got to get this pitcher needs me today. So whatever my thoughts are, if I don't feel ready right now, that doesn't work right now, because he's not thinking that. It's just his start day. So you kind of translate and change the conversation in your head, so to help you out. But that first year, I was just whatever the role was, I wanted to master it, which was coaching first, to pinch running, to make the most of my opportunities. And when a guy went down and I was able to start 40 games in a row, it's short, and I didn't know that was kind of like my tryout, and they're going to see how I go. And this was, hey, if it doesn't work out, then they're going to release me. And then obviously if I just play to make it to the next day, then obviously it's a good thing. So I tried my best to do everything else possible, connect with teammates, ask questions, and be a sponge as much as possible. And, Johnny Tucker, he always said, learn once, because you don't want to disrespect a person saying it twice. And I was like, okay, I like that. Yeah. So, that's what I kind of did. That's when I had my opportunity, I made the most of it, and I hit below the Mendoza line. So it was kind of like the tale of two sides, where defensively, I assumed, I still to this day don't know if it was good or not, but I assumed it was what they wanted to see. And then I just, I had to work on my hitting, which I really took pride in the next year.
So what? I mean, we're not going to break down every season you've had in Somerset.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
but I guess 2015. What clicked for you then at the plate?
You know what? one, being able to digest all the knowledge that I was given given that season, and being able to apply it in more of a controlled setting. I think that was huge, because then I started, the ideas of what they were saying were really working. In 2014, I was grateful because I thought to myself, I'd rather have 100 things said to me so I can take in 100 things and then I can see what works, than go with 6, stay stubborn, and that's all it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to take in what people were saying and apply it, and give myself an off-season workout. And then luckily, which I don't know, obviously my teammates know, but I had the opportunity of driving Daryl Ward to the ballpark every day that first year.
Wow, yeah.
And that was a game changer. And in the off season, I got to hit with him. And when you hit with Daryl, it's you're setting yourself up for success. And I still look at videos of him and I hitting to this day. Obviously, they're privately tucked away. But he really grooved me that off season to really learn how to be a professional hitter, and that's what worked going into the next year. And then taking obviously it was kind of like Shane and him and what everyone else was saying, and then Daryl was able to slow it down, translate it, and then work with me in my swing, and that's what really helped.
Yeah, 15 is such an up and down year for you. You get out to that incredible start. It seemed like things were really on the track that you deserve, and then it kind of gets taken away from you in a sense. And I remember that. I think it was during BP. I might be telling the story wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was during BP. We're all kind of by the on-deck circle by first base dugout, and you were kind of complaining about some swelling in your arm or your hand and something like that, and it all kind of just evolved from there. Just talk about that and the process of recovering from thoracic outlet and all that kind of stuff, and just what was that whole kind of time like in your life?
Yeah, so apparently my right hand was purple. Try to synopsis here. My right hand was purple. The trainer, HR Gorski at the time, said, "Kid, your right hand's purple." I was like, "No, it looked like a good tan for my eyes," and that's the truth, because I thought my glove hand's on my left side, my right hand's in the sun. It's definitely a good tan. And then Brett said, "No, it's purple." So they called the doctor in, and he did a test, and I think they did an ultrasound that day as well. It was kind of a whirlwind, and they found I had a blood clot, and that was June. That was in June, and then I think that was in June. They found out I had a blood clot, and then I learned that I had thoracic outlet, and from there I got surgery from a really good surgeon in New York, and then I just worked my way back into recovery.
Is it hard to not think that maybe some opportunities got taken away from you at that point? Because it seemed like you were kind of putting yourself on the radar to maybe get a chance in affiliated baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously you can be bitter or you can get better, and I've kind of been on the scale of getting better. And I mean, everyone has that story, everyone has those circumstances, especially in sports, and my goal is not to try to become a victim of it. It just showed that the work I put in worked, and just to keep doing that again, and with the opportunities given, to execute on the opportunities. So that's how I've always looked at it, that, all right, well, it goes to show I worked. I just had this little hiccup here, which actually was a little bit more than a hiccup, but you don't want to turn a snowflake into an avalanche, more so in the mind than it is in the body. So it was, having the opportunity and everything was, it was tough, but at the same time, though, I had so much more focus on trying to win the game and getting back and helping the boys win. So that's been, that's kind of how I've operated.
Yeah, was the last question, Alex. I know we don't want to talk about it too much, but the whole process of almost not necessarily learning how to throw again, but kind of getting that feel back for it. How challenging was that to kind of go through, both mentally and physically?
I think more mental than physical. I think a lot of athletes would tell you that too. A lot more mental than physical. I tried to come back for that season. I tried to come back for that season. I was actually activated for Game 5 of the division playoffs as a pinch runner. And, then the season ended, and then we won the championship. And then when the season ended, that's when I kind of then really honed in on trying to get my arm right again. It was actually feeling good, and I felt great. I didn't know if it was just adrenaline and just the thrill of getting back. But the process was it was tough because I didn't know how neurological it was, how it can affect, obviously, you feeling your right arm again. But my teammates were really great here, and they really, being around them was helping ease the thoughts of just saying, hey, we all go through it. It's going to happen, and it's how you respond, and that's the most important. So that was kind of the main focus.
So for 2015 to end the way it did, and I know you obviously wanted to be a bigger part of it, and you were a huge part of it in the first half. There's no getting around that. But for it to end the way that it did, was there kind of a rewarding feeling at the end to get that championship?
Oh, amazing. I tell you, it was. And I'll say this everywhere: that was 30 guys that enjoyed showing up to the ballpark every day.
Yep.
As simple as that, and that's exactly what it was. It was 30 guys with great leadership and just great teammates, and we just enjoyed being around each other, and that's what made everything fun. Everyone had a personality that fit into the clubhouse, and it was just do your job, do your role, and that was it. Let's go out and win this thing. And you had people, like John, who was the closer at the time, and then Johnny Tucker and Donnie, guys leading the way, paving the way of, hey, this is our attitude, this is how we're approaching it, and this is how it should be. And that really helped with having the guidance forward of going out and winning the championship. And seeing someone like Robert Andino, a great mentor, him come back from this, and just completely excel and be a highlight reel everywhere. That was just really good guys being around each other. That's how it felt.
Yeah, 2016, unfortunately, not as successful. But just to prep for this earlier today, I was watching your walk-off home run, and I got friggin' chills watching that. So to ask you, I guess, where does that moment kind of rank in your pro career?
Oof, man. Thank God the fence was 317, huh? Let's say, hey, you know what though? 318 and 375 are the same thing, just direction.
It's a home run in the box score, sir.
Yeah, right. Seriously, yeah, I hit that one to the moon. No, it's seriously, though, that was just. I'm just glad I helped the team win that day. Honestly, that was just getting in the good start, going 1-0 in the playoffs, and I haven't really, actually, to be honest, I don't really look back on that yet. Once everything's all said and done, I'll probably take more of a dive into how it was. But there's just the fans, the atmosphere was the coolest thing about all that, and that's what made it special. Was just doing that, in front of the fans because they're the best around.
Yes. What about the fans in Australia, sir? Because you got to do that a little bit after that walk-off home run. I guess first off, how does that opportunity come together? You played winter ball with the Canberra Cavalry back then. So what was that experience like, and how does that come together?
Oh, that's awesome. Actually, funny. So Josh Almonte, who's signed on the team now, I played with him out in Canberra, and he was an outfielder at the time, and he has and still has one of the best arms I've ever seen.
Yes, I got to see him. There was a guy named Greg Modica who used to pitch for Somerset, and I got to watch Josh work out at Greg's facility. Josh can bring it off the mound.
Right, dude? Oh, yeah. It does, almost 60 feet, 6 inches doesn't do it justice. Just because the ball just goes through the catcher, as the saying goes. Oh, that's awesome that you did that. Oh, man, that's awesome that you did that. He's an awesome guy too.
Yep.
Awesome guy. But it was an amazing experience. Just the culture, the atmosphere, going to play, and any guy would tell you, going to play winter ball is always a great experience. Just being in new environments, new cultures, and learning their ways, and and just meeting baseball players all over the world. Having the opportunity to play with a bunch of guys, and I know Rick, a lot of guys. Liam was out there, Francoso, Massey.
Yep.
Who else? Nate. I know Nate's been out there. Kraus was out there. I know a bunch of guys that have been out there going out. Liam, I think if I didn't say his name, Liam was out there. So I mean, it's an awesome experience, and that was so cool to be a part of. That was amazing opportunity, amazing experience, and really grateful for it.
I know it's mostly American pro guys who are out there, but is it any different out there?
I wouldn't say different. I think guys want to win. They care about their team, and same with the town. The town cares about the team, and they're really trying to grow and make, obviously bring more bring more fans to the games. I mean, we generate great fans at Canberra and everywhere else, and because we only play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it was a little different actually having Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. But you got to also work on your swing and work on everything to apply it to the next week. But there wasn't much. I mean, the baseball is the same kind of everywhere, and all it is just learning new ways to say something or new ways to do something. Because as they say in baseball, there's more than one ways to skin a cat, and there's more than 100 ways to say how to stay through the ball. And you just learn different ways of how to approach hitting, and it's the atmosphere in the baseball and the environment's always the same.
Yes. So, been back in Somerset the last few years after the little side trip in Australia there. I'm curious about, you mentioned some moments with Brett Jody, Somerset manager, obviously, and I guess how has your relationship kind of evolved with him since 2014, do you think?
Oh, it's been great. I mean, it's just he's always an amazing human being to talk to. Brett is just he's as they say, he's the player's manager, and he always has the best interest in the team. And going in there at any time, or always looking to ask him a question, he always has a little niche of saying that right thing and just saying it in a simple way. That's really helped me over the years, and since day one, I've always looked for him for feedback, for questions, and 100% have trusted everything he says, and it's always worked. And that's something that I can't wait to continue to grow. It's going to be lifelong because he's a great human being as much as he is a great manager, and that's it's great because every day you enjoy seeing him, and he always is bringing it every day.
Yeah. So last year when he kind of asks you to play in the outfield a little bit more, I guess what is that conversation like, and what was that, I guess, really transition like for you? Because you've done it a little bit, but really not to the extent that you did last year.
Yeah. So I remember being put out there, and it was I mean, I think it was kind of let's see what happens. I knew in my head how I needed to play out there, and it was just, hey, let's have a go. And I was really asking a lot of questions, and I think a lot of credit goes to, Justin Pacioli, Mike Krause, Teodoro Martinez, Olmo. I remember calling Eggy. I remember calling Johnny Tucker, and Donnie as well, and trying to ask questions. And, but John with the scouting reports and the great job he does with scouting reports before the game, and G being an outfielder in the big leagues, and Brett obviously knowing the game. It was the people that you were around really helped alleviate any stress or pressure, and it was just trying to just make things simple and do the job. And it's almost, you literally have to, for easing your mind, it's putting yourself out like you're playing wiffle ball in the backyard, and you're just seeing the game from a different viewpoint. And it was really cool to just try to take in the way you see the game from the outfield compared to the infield. And I looked at it as like an exciting opportunity more than being, being fearful of it.
Gotcha. So, if there is a season this year, you'll be one of only 2 players in Somerset history to have played in 7 or more seasons with Somerset. I guess kind of the first half of that question is, how much pride do you take in that you've been able to really establish something special in one place for as long as you have?
Words can't describe how appreciative I am of being a part of Somerset, the family, the community, the fans. It's top to bottom. I remember saying a couple nights ago, talking to Mark Schwartz, was, the thing that separates Somerset from everywhere else is that they're passionate for the win over passionate for the reward. And they're always about winning from top to bottom. And they provide the right experience for the players and in the fans that make it worthwhile. I mean, we are just guys out there putting on a uniform, go out there and playing. They do so much in the background and behind the scenes to make that place go. And that's, to be a part of that and watch things done the right way from the top to the bottom, it's just, it's absolutely incredible.
I guess the second half of that question is, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit, is just your kind of role in the community and how much that's evolved over time. How special is that to you to, I guess, be looked at the way you are and kind of revered the way you are in this community, and to kind of take on that role and embrace it. What has that really been like over these past 7 years?
It's that's been an absolute joy to be a part of that community. To be honest, I without pausing to think for a second, just to I want to reiterate just how amazing it is just to be a part of that community, and doing what I can and anything that they need. That's what that's what we want to do, because at the end of the day, it's about the kids and it's about the fans, and they are taking time out of their day to come see you play. So it's only right to reciprocate that in return, more in the off season and at any point where they give you attention, because we're all human beings at the end of the day, and if you just want to treat people nicely, it can make things better. So I'm very appreciative, and I just it's about the fans and the kids, because they're the best.
So something I want to make clear from having known you for a long time is this isn't just a thing where it's like the team came up to you and was like, hey, do you want to be our guy who goes out in the community and does stuff? And you're like, sure. Like, no, it's something that you, you're drawn to. It's something that you volunteer for. It's something that really means a lot to you. So I guess I'm curious, and I know I've asked you this before, but where does that come from? Why are you always the guy who's drawn to these kind of things? Does it come from the way you were raised? Does it come from maybe something you saw, a situation in your life? I guess, why are you always the guy who tries to make everything so special and such an incredible experience for everybody else? Where does that come from inside of you?
Oh, I would definitely say from home. Having great parents and an older brother where, I was the younger brother that wanted to go and do whatever my older brother did growing up. So I was the annoying little brother that wanted to join in. So it was but seeing how people react and just seeing, what's the right way to handle, what's the right way to do, trying to do the right thing. That's just kind of how it is. And here's a quote I read this other day, is that a smile is a curve that always results in a hit. And being able to see smiles on people's faces is a complete joy. And that's, what we're here for. Is if you're not trying to make someone else's day better, then you're wasting your time. Because it's not all about myself. It's not all about you. It's as far as, for internally to say to yourself. And that's what it's about, the people around you and trying to connect you, because, just trying to do the right thing, because everyone's special in their own way. And, I'm just one person. There's a bunch of other guys on the team that do the exact same thing, and it's creating the connections, because it's just for the love of the game too.
Yes. So speaking of the game, again, if we have a season, you guys are collectively coming off a not fantastic season last year. I guess, how much of a bitter taste did that kind of leave in your mouth? And I guess on the flip side of that, how much does that motivate you to want to get back out there and maybe kind of erase any memories of that?
Oof. Well, yeah, it's kind of, with everything that's going on, to not be out there and just what we like to call redemption.
Yeah.
It's very tough to not go out there and prove it right now. And, talk is cheap, I guess you can say, and you don't want to go out there and, you can't talk anything right now, obviously due to more important circumstances of what's going on. So when we go out there and however the season goes or however many games, it's hit the ground running and just going out there and proving everybody right away. Proving it right away. We have an amazing group of guys that are coming back from the clubhouse from last year, which makes it special, because that's the connection right there. Of, being with those guys, that you played with last year, and there's a whole bunch of them, and that's to be able to come back and now, do it again with them. So you have multiple people feeling that same taste, and that's a dangerous team right there. When you have a bunch of guys that are now bitter that want to make it better, that's a really dangerous team. And from the looks of it, of who's coming back already, especially from last year, it looks very good, because you know why? Because they're great people and there's a great relationship. I mean, from Will to Jimmy to Jovan to Jeff to Taylor. Even someone like Taylor who came in last year. At the end of the year, I mean, he was a stud right away. he was a great kid. And then you have Coobs and Tommy and Pugs. You know, you got all these. You know, you have a really, really good group coming in from last year still, and that's what you know. That's it makes it look promising because I tell you what, you know, I'll go to battle with them any day.
I'd go to battle with you any day, my friend, sir. This has been a freaking blast. I can't say enough about what an incredible human being you are and what a great friend you've been to me over the years. You showed up to my mom's funeral. You were at my wedding. You take time whenever I need you for something. I can't ever thank you enough for all of that, man. So I really appreciate you, and I cannot wait to get to the field to get a chance to see you again.
Dude, I miss you. Thank you so much, by the way, man. And I have to give this back to you because, Mike, you are one of a kind. You are the way you do things, the way you say things, and just how you make the people around you better. And having one of the tougher jobs in sports, you do everything the right way. And this podcast is going to grow because who doesn't want to hang out with you and have questions be asked, right? Because you make it so easy and so comfortable. And honestly, I'm so appreciative of you and as a friend and someone I get to know because no one puts the pen to the paper like you do.
For better or worse, yes.
No, for better, dude. I'm telling for better, man. It's amazing. You have just everything. You represent just being a fantastic human being, and that's something I admire all the time.
Well, that is the highest of compliments coming from you, my friend, so I appreciate that, man. Again, thank you for taking the time, and whenever all this craziness is over, man, let's get together and talk some more baseball, all right?
Let's do it. Thanks so much for having me on, man. I really am. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Scotty.
All right, guys, there it is. That was the Untitled Mike Ashmore podcast, episode 12 with Scott Kelly, one of the most requested guests we've ever had in the history of the show, and that was a fun chat. Scott has always been an incredible friend to myself and many others in the community, and to get to have him on and kind of talk about his career and especially really dig into that tryout too. I know a lot of people have done that in the past, but to really get into that, that was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that. So let me know who you guys want on in the future. Until then, stay safe, just stay inside. Don't do what I do. Stay safe, stay inside, wash your damn hands. My name is Mike Ashmore for the Untitled Mike Ashmore podcast, and I will see you guys soon.